We're live.
We are.
Yes, we are. We are live. Hello, Linda, Laurie. Hello, Barbara. So happy to see you here. I was very nervous about this not working. So I'm sure you've worked out that I'm not Barbara from Projectkin. Barbara is out there beavering away, taking notes for us. Hello, Julia. Hello, Susan. And the notes will appear in the video. So I'm Jennifer Jones from Tracking Down the Family and now from Goldfields and Family Ties. So I'm your host of Speaker's Corner, and we're here today to do a preview of what's coming up later in the week. Speaker's Corner is Projectkin's monthly event where we have two speakers come along and tell us a story from their family history, or a story that will interest family history researchers and writers. So, as I said, I have two guests for Speaker's Corner, and they're here today to give me a preview of their talk that they're going to be doing later in the week. I'm very happy to have Bill Moore from Family History with Bill Moore and Aryn Youngless from Genealogy by Aryn here to give you their preview. You can if you come along to Speaker's Corner on Friday, you'll hear their full talk. Today's just a brief preview for you. So our September theme is women in our family trees. I think as family history researchers, we all know the frustration of researching our females in our families. Often they are mentioned as add-ons to their husbands, but they mostly do have a story to tell, and often a very interesting story to tell. So today, Bill and Aryn are going to give us a brief look into their experience of researching the females in their family. They're both coming at this from different perspectives, as you will see. So welcome, Bill, and welcome, Aryn. A huge thank you to you for coming along today. I'm looking forward to hearing about your females. Firstly, I'll hand over to Bill, who will preview his talk for you about his research into his great-grandmothers. So over to you, Bill.
Okay, thanks. So those of you who've been around for a while may remember I wrote about a couple of stories about my mother's grandmother. We called her Marnie. Her name was Sarah Ellen. She was a very remarkable woman. Her husband died in an accident young. He was an oil man, had his own refinery, gas stations, actually had oil wells drilling. And after he died, she ran the company for a while. This was in the early 1930s, and women just didn't do things like that. She ran it for a couple of years. Found out that none of her children were interested in running the business later, so she decided to sell. After that, she went into the home building business and developed neighborhoods and built houses. It was, she was something else. Told some great stories too. Contrasting with her, I have my father's grandmother, who died just a few years before I was born, and I have zip on her. I haven't found anything under her maiden name at all. Her name is Catherine Brownlee Moore, and Brownlee spelled a little differently. So when I've tried to look her up, she just doesn't exist as far as any records I can find. I found her on one document, and actually she kind of broke the law on that one. My uncle needed a birth certificate. He didn't have one. He was born at home, and before he was going into the military for World War II. So they had to get a delayed birth certificate for him. and they needed a witness who had been there when he was born, who could not be a relative. So my great grandmother signed her maiden name, saying that she was not related, but she was there. So that's the one place on a document during her lifetime that had her name and had the spelling of her last name. I keep searching. Maybe I'll find her someday. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But it's very different because my first great grandmother there, she was in the papers so much, involved in so many society things and business and all. I've lost count of how many articles I have about her. So it's strange, they lived at the same time, but one managed to keep her life completely private. But,
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk a little bit this week on how I've researched each of them, what I'm doing. Yes, Barbara, that's Catherine Brownlee Moore. But I'll talk about what where I've looked for them, what I've done for the research, and I don't know, maybe somebody else will have some ideas while we're talking about it.
Yeah. That's great. These people that keep their lives private are frustrating, aren't they?
They really are.
Yeah. So I read on your, we were talking earlier, I read on your blog a post about your other grandmother that you knew well. She lived.
Well, Marnie, I knew very well. She lived until I think she was 97 when she passed. So I was in college at the time she passed. So we visited her a lot. One summer, one of my cousins and I actually went and stayed with her for a week that seemed like 6 years. Middle of the summer in Wichita Falls, Texas. Not the most fun place to be. And my cousin Mary Alice was being taught to sew while I was being taught to keep the yard mowed. But no, that was kind of a rite of passage in our family, was spending time at Marty's house.
Yeah.
But she was, as I said, she was a remarkable woman. I enjoyed sitting and talking with her, playing cards with her, although she cheated. She made her own rules up. But we had a good time. I'm glad I had that much time with her, and there are a lot of times I still wish she was around so I could have a good conversation with her.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you appreciate these things too as you get older, don't you? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. It's really great to hear about that, Bill. I'm looking forward to hearing you talk and hearing more about it. Yeah. Perhaps we'll go to you, Aryn. Aryn's got a different story. She's coming at it from a different angle to Bill, a story about her female ancestor. So I'll hand over to you, Aryn.
Thank you. Well, my story is more about women in general and females in our family history, and about the witch hunts. So the great witch hunts that started in the 1400s and then ran for the next ridiculous, I think it's like 400 years. Maybe not, but it feels that long, and it actually still has effects that you feel today. So my talk is about just understanding how the great witch hunts really did affect our family history by erasing people, or and not even from the people who were accused or imprisoned or hung, but all the people who changed their names and moved and didn't want to be associated out of fear. So where you're already limited because you're looking for female ancestors, which is sometimes hard because everything's written down in your husband's name. So then on top of that, now you have that big chasm of information missing because so many people, I think it's upwards of 60,000 people died. And that's not including everybody else, but who was arrested, and or like in Salem, there are a lot of people were left in prison. But their ancestors just abandoned the name or abandoned the area, so you have these holes in your family trees that it's just impossible to find that information because it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. So it could be that often when our people go missing, our females go missing, perhaps this could be, in that time period.
Yes.
Could be something to consider.
It is something to consider. And it's also, when you find holes, look at arrest records, look at trial records, because part of the amazing information that they have for Salem and some other trials, like in Scotland, there's a book coming out in fall I'm very excited for about the Scottish witch trials, but a lot of the information is from the actual trials. It's from the transcriptions. It's from the people so it's not even the people who are accused.
Yeah.
It's because they brought in the neighbors. So here's your neighbor.
Yeah.
Whose name is written down, and there's my great grandmother who was a witness on the stand, who was made the accuser, who said I'm not with that person, so their names will pop up that way. So kind of like looking around the documents would normally go for them.
Yeah. That's frustrating.
It is.
Yeah. Jane said she's been reading your series and loving it, your witch series, and loving it. And Barbara's actually added a link down there to it. And I think she's added a link to Bill's also. And Barbara also says Aryn's series is fantastic with suggestions and insights. So that's, a good idea to check it out. But it's something I wouldn't have thought of, if I had a female ancestor missing. Wonder if they were involved in, that in that era. I wouldn't have really have thought of it, but yeah.
I think a lot of times we don't, but how vast it was, realistically, if you're getting to that time period of your family tree and it's a female ancestor, even if they weren't accused, it's still going to affect them because jobs went away. All sorts of roles that were specifically for women went away. And then the fear, a lot of times people talk about generational trauma.
Yeah.
If you think about watching your relative be accused and arrested for witchcraft, that's going to rip it for generations.
Absolutely.
Because it was so scary.
Yeah, it would. Hello, Crystal. Great to see you here. And Barbara has said, don't just stop when you find someone accused of witchcraft. So that's good, isn't it? To keep going.
And also like changing the narrative, or like with your ancestor, Bill, who your grandmother, great grandmother, like just trying to change the narrative or the idea of what we think we should be looking for. And how, like, my great grandmother, one of my very favorite stories, and I may have said this I don't know. Anyhow, one of my favorite family story was that she was arrested for making moonshine. And the judge said she got sent to prison. She got sentenced. And the judge said, what do you have to say for yourself? And she said, well, at least I can have a night's sleep tonight, because she had little kids at home. And she's like, I have a restful night's sleep. I found the document. I found her being signed into prison. So I have proof that maybe she didn't say that, but I don't know. I've heard other stories, so I think she did.
Yeah.
But at least, that finding, a lot of times when we think of women, we don't think prison records, or we don't think trial transfer. Yeah. And there, they weren't put on trial, but they could have been in the vicinity, so their name may pop up.
Yeah. Because I think we think our female, I don't. Some people who don't.
Oh, I think we lost.
Can be quite boring, because they probably at home, having babies, looking after the babies, and not sort of out and about doing things. And look at Bill's grandma running a business there, great grandma running a business there. And his other one that I read about on his blog, she wasn't boring. She was most definitely out there doing things. But, sometimes we just don't expect them to appear in records other than, civil registration or parish records, that type of thing. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So we just have to get out there and think a little bit outside of the box, don't we? Yeah. So you, Aryn, you didn't have have you met anyone that's had a family connection with the witches?
Actually, I know a few people.
Do you?
I have a friend of mine who her family is tied back to the Welsh trials. And she had ancestors that were burned because in different parts of Europe, they would burn witches.
Yeah.
In the United States, they hung witches. So if you had ancestors in the United States, they were never burned at the stake. They were hung. Or with Giles, he was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I have another friend who she has ties to Salem.
Yeah.
So her relatives were accused.
Yeah. So I think that surprised me when I read that the witches were hung.
Yeah.
Being someone who doesn't know much about it, you always think of them being burned.
Yeah.
Well, England. Well, I'll go into it on Thursday before I say everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it depends on the area that you were at and the time
Yeah.
period. Because, different laws came into effect.
Yeah. I'll just read a comment out from Dr. Mary Marshall. Hello, Mary. Black women and women of colour weren't included at all except in slave records. Free women of colour might be listed if they were in northern states.
Mm-hmm. Tituba, who was part of Salem, no one knows what happens to her because they just sold her. But
right.
It's one of my, I don't know, I always joke that I need a psychic friend so they can answer my questions because I would love to know what happened to Tituba. She was so pivotal in Salem and it's sad because her and her husband were separated. And,
Yeah. I think we've all got those ancestors, haven't we? That we'd like some, someone in our head to tell us where to go next, or what she got up to next, or he. Barbara just said, "Oh my, Mary." So, that's some story. Both of your stories do show that the women in our family history had a lot to contribute to the stories of our families, didn't they? They really did. Yeah. I think even the women that didn't have, amazing stories, like weren't involved in witch trials and weren't running businesses or doing amazing things that way, they were just so resilient and strong to be able to, the pioneer women. As we know, they often had 10, 11, 12 children. I know my father was one of 12, even my father. And they didn't have all of their mod cons, did they, to help them to look after the children.
And raising the next generation. And I read this one story about a pioneer woman who she had a small child and she was pregnant and her husband went on a hunt and he was supposed to be gone for 2 days and she went into labor in the middle of the wilderness and delivered her own child.
Yeah. Go. Anne from Anne's Family History has commented, "Women hold up half the sky" is a well-known Chinese proverb popularised by Mao Zedong in 1949 that emphasises women's indispensable contributions and equal role in society. And that's so true, isn't it? I love that phrase. Oh, Barbara just said she loves that phrase. And Jane also ditto. So, it does. It says it all, doesn't it? And our pioneer ancestors in Australia, the women were bringing up those children in tents back in the days, so just imagine having 10 or 11 children in a tent and doing your washing in the river. And, it wasn't a fun life by any means at all. And I suppose in a lot of cases we complain more than they did.
Probably.
Our lives these days. Yeah.
I think we're definitely spoiled compared to our ancestors.
There is no doubt at all. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to hearing both these stories from you. As far as the witches go, when I saw your post, my mind went straight to Salem. And not that I knew much about it, but I've read a lot of novels about the witches, historical fiction, in Scotland, not America, in Scotland mostly. But I really realised I didn't really know anything at all about, the true story of the witches. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that on Friday. And Bill, I'm looking forward to your hearing how you've gone about researching those tricky female ancestors. So I'm sure we'll have a few hints and tips from both of you to go on with after.
Hope so.
While we're here, Barbara usually gives a shout out to what's happening later in the week. So I'd just like to point out that we have Speakers Corners coming up on Thursday or Friday, depending where you are and where your time zone is. So just check, Barbara will have popped that in the notes. And on Tuesday, Wednesday, we have Mission Genealogy will have the round table. So once again, check the notes. And come along and join in the fun. Mission Genealogy is also lots of fun. Kathy just said her grandmother had twins in the early 1930s on a farm in the prairies of Alberta, the youngest of 6. Slept in a dresser drawer in a 2-room house. Whenever I struggled with my twins, I reminded myself of what Grandma did. Absolutely, Kathy. And a note from Barbara that upcoming events are always on the calendar at projectkin.org/events. And Deneen just joined in. Hello, Deneen. This will be available as a recording for anyone little bit later. You'll notice it will come up without the notes. Barbara will post it straight away and then add the notes in a little bit later. So that might be a little bit of a good time to wind up. Once again, a huge thank you to Aryn and Bill. I really appreciate you coming along today and giving us a bit of a heads up about, your talk for Friday, or Thursday, Friday. I'm thinking of Australian time, Thursday or Friday. And once again, check your time zone. And we're looking forward to hearing much more about your stories and your female ancestors. So this is my first hosting gig by myself without Barbara as a backup. So that's done now, so we don't have to worry about it anymore. Onward and upward from here on. So I was a little bit nervous today, worried something might go wrong, but it didn't. So that's really good. And thank you very much, everyone, for all the hearts. And I'm sure many of them are for Aryn and Bill. All right, so we'll catch up with you on Thursday or Friday at Speakers Corner. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.